Hello, this is Andrine, a Jewish American priestess, and today I want to do a reading that talks about messages from the Asherah, which is an ancient name of the goddess who is represented in reverence to the trees. And I'm not sure how this is going to go exactly, but I'm going to use some tarot cards from the Wildwood Tarot. I like this deck that it has so much nature references in the back of the card. In fact, it's got the tree with roots above and roots below, roots in heaven and roots in earth, or the crown above and the crown below. And so we're going to pull out 3 cards from the Wildwood Tarot deck, and you get to choose one of those cards, and then we're going to do a reading that will help us gain some clarity about whatever is up for you, or from the Asherah, from the earth-based divine feminine that comes to us through the trees. So let's start by shuffling the deck and pulling out a few cards here. See, there's one that jumps out right away. Let's see if we have a second card. There's number 2. And let's pull out the 3rd card. Oh, that's too many. Let's try again. Very excited. Okay, 3 very excited cards. Now let's take a look at them, and then you get to choose which one is speaking to you. One or more. You can choose, of course, more than one if you have more than one inquiry. And then we'll put down some Hebrunes around that. So card number 1, we have the 10 of Bows with responsibility. And this is the 10 of Wands in the traditional tarot. Responsibility. Card number 2 is the 9 of Bows. The 9 of Wands with respect. And card number 3 is the Knight of Vessels. Eel. That is the traditional Knight of Cups. Okay, so those are your 3 choices. Card number 1, the 10 of Bows. Card number 2, the 9 of Bows. And card number 3, the Knight of Vessels. So I will put the timestamps down below. You can click on them if you want to go to one specific reading, or like I said, choose more than one if more than one is calling to you. And we'll find out what the Asherah has for us today. I'll see you in your separate readings. Hello, card number 1. Those of you who chose the 10 of Bows with responsibility. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see a little closer as we get into the letters. I'm not exactly sure what spread I'm going to do today. I have an idea about how this could look like a tree. So let's take a look at the card first. The 10 of Bows, as says, responsibility, and as you may know, this is a card that is about carrying a lot of weight, carrying a burden for a long period of time. You can see this character on the card in this particular deck has been climbing up a mountain with this stack of bows on their back, and they have the responsibility of bringing that set of wood up to the top. And at the top you can see that there is a fire burning. There's some kind of smoke and a glow that is at this encampment at the top with all of these tents. So this person has the responsibility to bring these bows up here, and I don't know whether they're bows that would be used in the form of a bow and arrow. You might string them and use it as defense, or you might use them as firewood for this fire that's burning at the top. But whatever the case is, this particular character is responsible for bringing these up, and they've been carrying them a very long way from quite a distance down below up this very precarious mountain on this path in order to serve the community. And they're almost done. They're very close to being finished. The 10s in tarot tend to represent a completion of a matter. So although the burden is heavy, they have been carrying it for some time. they are nearly at the end of their task. So maybe this is the first message for you from the Asherah, is you've been carrying a lot, and it's very soon that you will lay this down, set down your burden so that you have the opportunity to rest when you get to your home, when you get to your village at the top. I just had a thought that I need to have a card holder for this, so let me grab that. I'll be right back. So we have the 10 of bows with responsibility at the top, and we're going to take our Hebrunes and shuffle them up, and we're going to do a reading where I think I'm going to do sort of a trunk, and then some branches, and then some roots, and see if we can get some messages from the divine about this responsibility that is nearly at an end, and you need to release it and lay it down in order to find your relaxation and rest. And we'll start in the center with the letter Kaf. And just above that we have the letter Lamed. And just below it we have the letter Ayin. Pei. Zayin. Vav. Aleph. Let's start with those. That's a lot. Again, I wasn't sure how this is going to play out, but we'll find a way. So again, this is a new spread. I'm just making it up as we go. The letter that came out first is the letter Kaf, and Kaf is the letter that represents the palm of a hand. So it's about give and take. It's the binary transformation of wealth and poverty. So because it's the palm of a hand, it's as if we are extending our hand, and we might be extending it in a gift, as in a gesture, or in a way to receive something. So right now you're in a situation of giving and receiving. You're giving something to your community perhaps, and receiving something in return. Maybe you're receiving some kind of praise, or maybe even finances, or you're just receiving the gratitude of the people who you are serving. And it's important to balance. That's the trick here with the Asherah saying, it's important to balance giving and receiving, that we're not giving too much, that we're not overextending ourselves, and that we're asking for help when we need it. This person's traveling solo, and hopefully as they come closer to the village, they'll be able to ask for some assistance to carry and distribute the bows that they have brought up the hill. So I'm seeing that as the first message here is we need to balance giving and receiving, that we're not overdoing it. Kaf is also the first letter of the word koach, which means power or strength. So you've got an enormous amount of strength that you're using. The trunk of this tree that in the reading here is saying strength is here, holding you up. You are empowered to do the work that you're required to do, or have the responsibility to do. But it's important to balance, not over-giving, not saying I'm the only one who can do this. I have all the power. I'm the only one who is available, and to feel like a martyr that you're overdoing. Also know that this can represent the hand of the Shekhinah. So the divine, the indwelling presence of the divine, the Asherah, is strengthening you. That these bows come from the tree. They come from the Asherah herself. That you are carrying them, but the material, the creation of them, was brought to you by divinity. All the things that you have are given to you by divinity. So that power, that strength that you have is given to you by the divine. So trust in that and know that she's going to help you, that she's lifting you up as you travel on your way. The letter that showed up above the Kaf is the Lamed. And interestingly, the Lamed is the letter that comes after Kaf in the alphabet. This is the number 20, and Lamed is the number 30. So Lamed is the letter that represents heart-mind. So it has this sense of being able to listen in to your own body, to listen into your own heart mind. It's a letter that plants itself deep into the earth. I'll hold it up here so you can see it better. It plants itself like a root deep into the earth and then reaches up with the top of it for hope and connection with the divine. So listening into your heart mind is a really important spot. And I love that that's what comes above strength, that we have the strength here. But we also have to listen into our heart mind and reach up for the divine for assistance. It's the letter that begins the words limud v'lamed. So it's about teaching and learning. You've learned something from this experience of responsibility that you've taken on. And now it's time to turn around and teach that through your heart mind in order to be able to pass that on to the other people at the top of the mountain here. It's also representative of the intestines in the body. And in affiliation with that learning and teaching, it's as if we're taking things into ourselves, taking on responsibility, and then we're discerning what we need to do here. We're taking in nutrition from the food that we ingest. We're taking in information from our surrounding environment. We're listening to our bodies, and we're learning from that. And then we're releasing that which we no longer need. So when we ingest food, our body knows how those intestines in our body, the kishkas in our body, know how to tell what is good and what isn't, and then it releases everything that isn't. So that's an important piece here too from the Asherah. Learn what you need to learn, teach what you need to teach, and let go of everything else that isn't working for you. Release, again, setting down that burden when you get to the top. Below that, the letter Ayin appeared, and the letter Ayin is the letter that means an eye. And it's the number 70 in Gematria. So 70 is this number that has a connotation of a large ending. There are 7 days of creation, and 10 times 70 represents this large finishing. The 7 days of creation come to an end. That's the end of creation. 70 is this great, giant release of something. Something is coming to an end in a big way. It is this eye, as I said, and it represents both being able to see our way forward and knowing that we are watched over by divinity, that the divine is watching us, that they are, again, sheltering us with their hand or lifting us up with their hand, but they are watching what we're doing and taking note and making sure that we are okay, making sure that we are safe. There's another affiliation with the number 70 in Torah that has to do with large numbers of people. So there are, in Torah, when Noah goes in the ark and then repopulates the earth, there are 70 descendants of Noah. There are 70 elders of Moses. There are 70 members of Jacob's tribe that go down to Egypt. There are 70 seats on the Sanhedrin. So it's about large groups of people who are used to share the burden. So as you come up to this camp, maybe there are 70 tents, maybe there are 70 people, or at least a large number of people. There's a whole tribe, there's a whole family, there's a whole council that's there for you if you can reach out and again distribute that responsibility amongst the people. So as we're being watched over by the divine, remember that you have support that is underpinning the strength that you have here and in the center of the reading. Getting down into the roots of the matter, at the very bottom of the reading, we have the letter Zayin on the left. The letter Zayin is a letter that means a sword or a scepter. So again, strength and power in the roots down at the bottom. It's the number 7 in Gematria. So we have 7 and 70 here. Again, something is needing to be finished. Something is almost at the end. In tarot, that's the number 10. In Hebrew, it's the number 7. So we've got 7 and 70 here both. And it's saying that things are almost at the end, and it's an important ending, and that there's power in that. There's going to be power in the completion of a thing. Also, Zayin being the number 7 represents the 7th day of creation, which is Shabbat. Shabbat, which is all about rest. So when you get to the root of the matter, as you finish this giant burden, it's going to be time to lay things down and take a rest. And the Zayin being the number 7 and the Shabbat day is affiliated with the Shekhinah, the divine Shabbat bride, the indwelling presence of the feminine divine. So she's here underneath in the Asherah, at the roots, at the very roots of everything. And there's power here. There's power in the rest. There's power in the completion. And that's the important thing to remember as you climb that mountain, getting ready to set down all of your wands, that a big part of this is taking the rest at the end of it, underneath everything. On the right side, we have the letter Pei, and Pei is the number 80, so it comes right after the Ayin. The number 80 is this spiral, and it's about the infinite. So 8 is the infinity loop, and 8 times 10 is this ultimate manifestation of the infinite. So we have the spiral, and it's representative of the mouth of the divine, so Pei means mouth, and it's representative of the mouth of the divine speaking creation into existence. So something has come to an end because the divine has spoken aloud what they want to see in the world. And there's this beauty in the infinite that's here, this infinite spiral. The spiral that goes infinitely into us as a microcosm of everything that goes down to the very cellular level, and then infinitely out into the universe, into this macrocosm of all the billions and billions of stars that are out in the universe. So there's this spiral aspect that's here underneath the ground that is holding us up. The infinite herself is here speaking creation into existence. The roots of the tree are the thing that is starting a thing, is speaking. That breath that comes out of that spiral, that comes out of that mouth, is here underneath. And it's about time as well. The word in Hebrew for time is pa'am. So the infinite spiral linear aspect of time is underneath this all. So it's taken a while for you to climb the mountain, but there is this underpinning of the time is here for you. Infinity is on your side. And that was my random chime on my phone saying, yes, the Shekhinah is here and is on board with this message, that there is this infinity underneath everything. And then as we get up into the branches of the tree, on the left side we have the Aleph, and Aleph is the number 1. It's the first letter of the Aleph Bet, and it represents heaven and earth and the balance between the two. It's the mother letter of air, and you can see that it looks like sort of an X, an exchange, maybe a crossroads that we're coming to, or the branches of a tree. It's got the Yud above and the Yud below and the Vav between. Vav is the connecting piece. And the Aleph being that number 1, the transformation between heaven and earth, the transition between what is above and what is below. The, again, mother letter of air, so breath, air, wind, everything that's coming, that is created by the tree itself. Trees are one of our major sources of oxygen in the world. So the Asherah is here, and of course Asherah will begin with the letter Aleph as well. Asherah is this, is here creating oxygen for us to breathe through this process of photosynthesis and transpiration, taking in air and light and turning it into a solid structure. So part of the message is to breathe, take time to breathe, balance the divinity above and the humanity below, and find connection between those two things with the one who is the divine themselves, the Asherah, the Shekhinah, and the you know how we say El, God. Many of the names of the divine begin with the Aleph. So as well as human Adam, Adamah, earth, mud, also begins with Aleph. So we have both of those things tied up in the Aleph here at the top of the tree. And on the right side, we have Vav. Vav is the connection. It's literally the word and in Hebrew. And it means, you know, to connect from earth up to heaven. It looks like a sprout coming up out of the ground. And it's got that Yud at the top. The Yud being the first letter of the name of the divine, the Yud He Vav He, planting itself firmly in the ground and connecting above. Vav is the letter that corresponds to the number 6 in Gematria. So it's the day of creation of animals, including humans. So we've got this this connection again between humans and the divine, heaven and earth. The Vav that's right between the two Yuds and the Aleph is connecting those two pieces. So finding connection to the people at the top of the mountain. This looks like a wand, right? It looks like a rod, one of these wands at the top, but it's about connecting with others. So we're finding unity here. We're standing tall. We are thinking about the 6 directions of east, west, north, and south, as well as above and below, and finding connection there. And I'm going to pull out one more letter to pop at the top of our tree here and see what our final message is for you. And at the very top we have Resh. Resh is the letter that means head. So a new beginning. Once you've reached the top of the mountain and set down your burden, you have the opportunity to start anew. Resh is the binary transformation of seed and barrenness. So time to plant a seed. If we can reach up with, move forward with our head to use our intellect, our mind, start something new and plant a seed, we're going to be successful in this endeavor. Even though we've had this responsibility, we've carried it all the way up the mountain. We have the strength to do that. We have the heart mind to listen in, to discern what's the right thing to do. We're learning to trust the hand of the divine to lift us up, not overburdening ourselves. We're being able to see clearly as we move forward to this completion that's happening. We have the strength underneath the ground of the Shekhinah, of the sovereignty of the divine, and the infinity loop, that spiral times 10 that is here in the Pei, that speaks creation into existence. That the Aleph is here, the number 1, that is holding us up at the top, the connection between heaven and earth, and the connection between us and others with the Vav, and a new beginning at the very top. So it's a beautiful reading. I really like this spread that I just made up on the spot here. So for those of you who've had an enormous amount of responsibility, that you are almost done, that it's important to connect with your people and make sure you ask for the help that you need. Take the rest that you need when things come to an end. And I hope this is useful for you. I find it really interesting and helpful, this Asherah spread. So I hope to see you here next time. Hope you enjoyed this. Please leave a comment if you like, and I'll see you next time. Hello, card number 2. Those of you who chose the 9 of Bows, this particular deck calls this card Respect. And let's just take a look at it really quick. The 9 of Bows is, of course, the 9 of Wands in the traditional tarot. And we've got this character here who is looking a little spooky. He's looking a little scary and defensive. He's got an arrow on his bow. He's got wild man kind of antlers in his hair, and he's kind of hiding in the bushes. He's got his little shelter in the background here made up of the other bows. And he's got all kinds of talismans around his neck and a sort of it looks like an animal skin cloth. And this giant tree, the Asherah, behind him as well. Typically, the 9 of Wands is known as the wounded warrior, someone who has been harmed and is now very suspicious of other people, is ready to defend themselves as need be. And in this case, we've got the word respect. So they're asking for you to respect maybe their privacy, their need for healing, their time of solitude. So maybe that's you in the world right now. But we're going to pull out some Hebrunes to get some further clarity about the 9 of Bows and respect. So I'll put the card up here. And we're going to pull out some Hebrunes. And this is a spread that I just invented in the first reading. That is the tree. It's going to give us some information and support around the need that we're having here in the respect card in the 9 of Bows. So we start with the trunk. In the center of the reading, we have the tzadi. Just above that we have Shin. Below that we have Tav. Our roots are Resh and Tet. And our crown is Yud and Het. Nice. Okay. So right at the center of our reading here is the letter Tzadi. And Tzadi is the letter that begins the word tzedek, meaning justice, righteousness. You know, a tzaddik is someone who is a righteous person. So this person, maybe you, who's wounded or desiring respect, is asking for justice. Justice needs to be served here. And justice is being served. This is the support the Asherah is giving us, is this justice that's coming through the tree. Tzadi also begins the word Zaid, which means hunting. And that he's got a arrow on the bow here is saying that maybe he is out there hunting for something. Maybe he's hunting for justice, hunting for something, searching for something in the world, searching for respect, certainly, in regards to this card. Tzadi is considered the foundation of thought from the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation. So there's been some thought that's gone into this. This isn't just a random, spontaneous act. This person is requesting respect for their position and is hunting for that respect, is hunting for that justice, has put a lot of thought into this. Tzadi is associated with the matriarch Sarah, who was 90 years old when Yitzhak was born. Tzadi is the number 90 in Gematria. And so Yitzhak, which also has the Tzadi in it, shows a long gestation, something that has been a long time coming. Sarah waited for her whole life to give birth, and when Yitzhak was born, it said she was 90 years old, which is quite elderly for a mother, a first-time mother. And it's 90 is that 10 times 9, 9 being the letter Tet, which we have at the bottom here, meaning gestation, and 10, Yud, at the top, meaning something that is this ultimate manifestation of gestation. So interesting, we've got Tet at the bottom, Yud at the top, and Tzadi in the center here, coming together as a multiplication factor of the 10 and the 9. So this ultimate manifestation of something that's gestation has come in. And Tzadi is the letter that's affiliated with the month of Shvat. Shvat is the month where we celebrate the birthday of the trees. And if you look at Tzadi, it looks a little bit like a tree, where you've got the earth at the bottom and this trunk coming up and these branches that are coming off the top. So the Asherah is right here. This is affiliated with the tribe Asher. Asher meaning happy, but also probably defined from the same root as Asherah, the divine feminine who dwells within the trees. So the tree here at the very center of this reading, which I completely love, the respect that is being demanded by the Asherah herself. And so justice is being demanded. Respect is being demanded. This is coming to you from the divine herself, the Asherah. And just above that, we have the letter Shin. Shin is the mother letter of fire. You can see it looks a little bit like a flame lapping up from beneath. And so, and wands, or bows in this particular deck, are representative of fire, inspiration, something that is lighting up from inside. Shin is the first letter of the name Shekhinah, the indwelling presence of the divine feminine. So here we have the Shekhinah, here we have the Asherah, all underpinning all of this. There is this importance to inspiration and fire in burning, that there's something that is maybe being cleansed through fire, that there is a need for justice to come in the form of fire. The Shin is representative of the head in the body, and the stars and the moon and the sun in the sky. It's all about passion. There's something very passionate about the Shin. Shin is also the first letter of the word shalom, which is often translated as peace, but in fact means wholeness. So there's something that's asking for justice and wholeness here in the trunk of our tree reading. There's transformation through fire. The sun, the stars, the moon, all of those heavenly bodies that light up, and the wands themselves, which are also about lighting things up. Source power, the indwelling presence of the Shekhinah. Aish, fire. So there's something really powerful here. Some say also that the shin represents a tooth in the body. So something that is biting. The fire can be also biting in this way, and that it's sharp. Really a lot of power here in the center with the divine feminine. Below that, we have the letter Tav. Tav is the final letter of the alphabet, and it is seen as also, in some ways, judgment or justice. Some say that it looks a little bit like a dalet and a nun together, which spells din, din meaning judgment. So there's some judgment that's underlying this a little bit too. Some judgment has come, and we are being asked to find justice, to find divine inspiration, and cleanse with fire. The Tav is also, the final letter, as I said, in the alphabet, and it comes right after Shin. Some say that Shin is actually the final letter, and that Tav is the signature of the divine. It's the stamp or the seal saying, I am done now. This is the finished product. So really interesting that we have both Shin and Tav here. Tav is the center of the celestial temple in the Sefer Yetzirah. The letters make up the edges of a cube, and in the center is Tav, holding all of that space in the center. So it also represents the divine in the center of that celestial temple. It's the last letter of the word emet, meaning truth. The emet is Aleph Mem Tav, the first, center, and last letter of the Aleph Bet, and that encompasses all of truth. So it's the final stamp or seal on the idea of truth. Truth, justice, and fire coming together here on the trunk of our tree. So some big completion. Some big completion is coming in, and justice will be served. Judgment will be made clear. Going into the roots of our tree, as I said on the left, we have the letter Tet. And Tet is a container. It's a cup or a basket or a womb space where gestation occurs. So beneath the surface, we have a gestation that's happening. Something good is coming out of this. Tet is the first letter of the word Tov, which means goodness. So something underneath all of this fiery justice and judgment is gestating a sense of goodness. It's the number 9 in Gematria, so it represents that 9 months of pregnancy in the human body. And it also looks a little bit like a snake. You can see the little head there and the tail curving around. The snake is an ancient symbol of the goddess because it's about transformation, shedding of the skin, moving forward into newness. And the number 9 refers us back to Rosh Hashanah, where we had those shofar blasts that come in sets of 9. So a renewal that comes through the horn of the shofar and the snake shedding its skin. So underneath all of this is this gestation, this goodness that's just underneath the surface in the roots of this tree. On the right side, we have the letter Resh, and Resh is the head in the body, or a head of a new thing, like Rosh Hashanah or Rosh Chodesh. We have the new month, the new year. Resh is a humble letter. It's got its head bowed. And it's the binary transformation of seed and barrenness. So we have underneath the ground seed and a new beginning. Bereshit has the letter Resh right in it, meaning in the beginning. So underneath the ground, we have something gestating, a seed, a new beginning that is coming in. And I think this is really wonderful in terms of this tree formation, where we have this very, very strong trunk with a lot of justice and a lot of judgment, and underneath gestation, roots going down at this time of year, and new beginnings that are coming in, seeds being planted. Up at the top, we have the letter Het on the left side, the letter Het, which represents the word Chai, meaning life. And in fact, we have the Yud here, so together they spell Chai. And that means life. So the tree of life is represented here with the Het. It's also the first letter of the word darkness, Choshek. And Choshek is the first time the letter Het shows up in Torah. So it's a really important word because darkness is really important for growth. Shadow work, the seed that goes underneath the ground is in darkness before it grows into this justice, this trunk that's coming up here. Het is all about commitments and covenants. It looks like a marriage canopy, so it's got that chuppah feeling to it, that connection between people who are committing to each other. The 8th day after a child is born, they have a circumcision or a naming ceremony, which is a covenant with the divine. And so there's something here about darkness and life at the crown of this tree that is saying the fruits of this tree are the ability to find life in the darkness. On the right side, we have the Yud. The Yud is the number 10, as I said. And so it represents the ultimate manifestation of the One, the divine who is the One. And 10 times 1 is 10. And we get the Yud, which is the first letter of the divine name, the Yud He Vav He, the becoming one, the one who is and was and will be. And it's also a seed, right? So it's a seed that's like one point. It's that initial point that where we lay down our pen or our chisel when we're making these letters, engraving them. It's always, every single letter has the Yud in it, if you look. So it's that one point out of which everything bursts forth, the seed that has the potential for the growth of the tree and all the fruit then that comes from that one seed. It's the foundation of sexuality as well. So there may have been something that has been requiring justice, requiring respect, requiring judgment, a gestation that comes from a seed, and the foundation of sexuality is the fruit of that tree. It also harkens back to the 10 Sephirot, which are the emanations of the divine coming down in the tree of life itself. So really beautiful reading so far. I want to pull out one more letter to give us one more piece of clarity on this idea of respect and justice and all that's showing up here. Our top's letter is the letter He. The letter He, which is the letter that means presence. Here we are, Hineni. It's the answer that one gives to the divine when you hear your name called. You say, Hineni, here I am, present and ready, available for service. In terms of this card, the wounded warrior has been demanding justice, has been seeing things come to judgment, wants to set the world on fire, is inspired to demand respect. Underneath the ground, something is gestating that foundation of seed and barrenness here, a new beginning. And at the top, we have life and darkness and the seed again, the divine name. The divine is in here so many times. And then we get to He, presence, showing up. 2 letters of the divine name, Yud He Vav He. So twice in the divine name of becoming is this idea of showing up and being present and remaining available for service. So the respect that this character is demanding will grow into the fruit of availability for service. There may have been some wounding that's gone on. There may have been a need for protective self right now, that this trunk is strongly suggesting justice, judgment, fire. But underneath the ground, there's this gestation happening. And that at the top, the crown of the tree shows us life and sexuality and seed again, and the ability to remain present through it all. Again, another head here with the He affiliating with the month of Nisan in the Sefer Yetzirah, the constellation of Aries, which is the ram, and again the head in the zodiac, We have the head at the bottom. So sort of that, again, roots above, roots below, both here. Life, darkness, gestation, seed, life, and presence. So for those of you who chose the 9 of bows and the idea of respect, really powerful reading here to know that your trunk is strong. It is underpinned by the Asherah, the Shekhinah herself, and the divine snake at the bottom of the tree, and the tree of life at the top of the tree. And there's beautiful fruit that is coming. Once that respect is delivered, once you learn to respect yourself and respect your own ability to gestate, to plant a seed, to find your sexuality as appropriate, and to be available for service. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was useful. I'm really loving this reading so far with the Asherah spread. Please leave a comment if you like this, and I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Hello, card number 3. Those of you who chose the Knight of Vessels in this deck. It is known as the Eel. Let's take a look at your card. So this is the Knight of Cups from the traditional tarot. And he usually rides on a horse. Of course, the eel does not ride on a horse. It does not have legs. He's swimming through the water in this beautiful, clear water, leaving ripples around him. It looks like a very peaceful card, actually. And I don't know a whole lot about eels. I know that they are they are snake-like, but they are in fact fish. You can see this guy has little fins around his head. I think they're not kosher because rabbis couldn't tell that they had scales and fins, but technically I guess they are kosher. The eel is a slippery fellow who lives in the water and moves ahead with determination and speed. The traditional Knight of Cups is the knight who has an offering to give. And cups are all about emotions and love, feelings of a variety of kinds. And oftentimes the Knight of Cups is seen as someone who is bringing some kind of proposal of love. So if that resonates for you, or the eel resonates for you in some way, I love that it looks like a snake, even though it's a fish. It's sort of like that, again, that kosher snake. What would that be like? The snake gets a bad rap in the Torah as the one who's the tempter, but everything is made of divinity, and after all, in the big picture. Okay, we're going to pull out some Hebrunes, and this spread is one I just made up today as we're starting the reading. So I'm going to lay down the same sort of spread that I did in card number 1 and card number 2, and let's see what support we're getting from the Asherah in regards to the Knight of Vessels eel here today. I'm going to start with the trunk. We have the Ayin. We'll put that right on top of the I, since Ayin means eye. Above that we have Tav. Below we have Beit. We have the root of Hay. And Zayin. And at the crown we have Yud. And Shin. Very nice. So in the center of our trunk, we have the letter Ayin. And Ayin is the letter that means eye. Like I said, I just placed it right on top of the I on the Hamsa here. Ayin is the number 70 in Gematria. And to that end, it represents a large ending. So 7 days of creation in the Torah, when the divine created everything. And 10 times 7 is this ultimate completion of a thing. So something is coming to an end, perhaps, some big completion, but also we are being watched over. The eye represents being watched over by the divine, being watched over by the Asherah, as well as being able to see our way forward with our own vision. It's a letter that corresponds to the month of Tevet, which is in the winter time, the darkest time of year, and the constellation of Capricorn. It's affiliated with the tribe of Dan, Dan meaning judgment. So there's some kind of judgment that's wrapped up in the ayin as well. It's the foundation of laughter in the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, the version that I read. It corresponds ayin to laughter. And I love this in terms of once we see our way forward, once we know what direction to turn, or we see how things have gone, we can laugh about it. So even though it can be challenging, that there's something coming to an end, and we don't really know what it is, perhaps we know that once we see, we'll be able to laugh about it. That Tevet is often related to the end of the year, which is to say the darkest time of the year, when the solstice comes in the winter time and everything goes dark for a while. And then we are able to see again when our eyes open up and the light returns. And then we can laugh and find joy. And there may be a judgment that's affiliated with an ending like that. Can't say exactly, but perhaps you know what this is about in your own life. So there's something in the center of this reading that is saying an ending is coming. There is some darkness, perhaps, and a judgment that's coming, and that when we get through that, we'll be able to see our way forward and laugh about it. Above that, we have the letter Tav. Tav is the final letter of the alphabet, another ending. Something is coming to an end. It's a stamp or a seal, the completion letter of the alphabet. And in fact, some people say that Shin is the last letter of the alphabet, and then Tav is just the signature, the chop, the seal on the alphabet. So there's something, again, about ending here. But with each ending comes a new beginning. Tav is a letter that rules over the moon in the sky, which is all about transformation. The moon that I don't see reflected on the water here, but I can imagine it there. That we have the moon in the sky showing us that transformation occurs over and over again. And I think about Tav also as being past generations that are stamped onto us, that there's a continuity of spirit that comes through from our ancestors that's coming through here, that we can see our way forward because we are watched over by the divine, by our ancestral lines, that we have that stamped into us genetically. Again, around the idea of judgment, the tribe of Dan is affiliated with the ayin, but some say that the Tav looks like the letter Dalet and the letter Nun, which spells Din or Dan, which means judgment again. So a finality and a judgment. I hear that twice in your trunk here. So something is coming to an end. Something is being judged for good or bad, hopefully for good. At least we'll have a more clear eye about it. We'll know what's coming. And Tav is also the letter that is the last letter of the word Emet, meaning truth. So once we see the truth, we'll know how to judge appropriately. The Emet, which is the Aleph, Mem, and Tav, the first, center, and last letter of the Aleph Bet. So some truth is coming in here, growing up out of this ability to see. Beneath the ayin, we have the letter Beit, and Beit is about home. It's about where do we find ourselves living. It's the letter that means house or dwelling place. It can also be about a place of study or even a place of work, necessarily a building of some kind. But it's also the letter that means where we dwell. So it could be about our body. Where do we dwell in our body? I think the Asherah is saying here that we have the ability to dwell wherever we are. And that can be the planet itself as well. So Beit has within it all of these things. It's the second letter of the alphabet, but it's the first letter of Torah. So there's something here about finding our home wherever we are, even if we need a second chance. That the second will be first over and over in Torah. The first son is replaced by the second son. So there's something here with this Knight of Vessels, this eel, which is saying an offering is being made. Something that is second maybe is being elevated above. And it's affiliated with the day of Shabbat. So rest is at the base of our tree here. That we've got judgment, we've got vision, we've got completions, and then rest right beneath that. So how can we find our place of rest? Where can we find our home here at the base of this situation that we're in? Our roots of the tree are the letters Hey and Zayin. Hey is the letter that represents the word Hineni, which means here I am, available and ready for service. So underneath all of this is the divine request to show up. When the divine calls one's name in Torah, the correct answer is Hineni. Here I am, ready and available for service. So our roots here that are holding everything up are the ability to show up. And on the left side, we have the Zayin. Zayin, which is a sword or a scepter. It's all about power. But it's the number 7, which is the last day of creation, the day of Shabbat. So we have rest here twice. Shabbat with the number 7. And the Shabbat bride, who is the Shekhinah, the indwelling presence of the divine. Giving us power, giving us our own sovereignty, giving us the ability to take time to lay down and rest when we need to after the completion of this thing. There's a sense of magic that comes with the 7 as well. In many cultures, 7 is considered a lucky number. So there's this underpinning, this rootedness that comes from showing up, resting, and grasping onto our sword or scepter, grasping our power in this situation. Because the Zayin is also the number 7, it has this sense of completion again, the final day of creation. So 7 and 70 both here, and the Tav being the final letter. There's a lot of ending that is happening here in your tree, in your Asherah. Something is coming to the end. Zayin also affiliated with the 7-year cycle of the Shemitah, which is about releasing, letting the land lie fallow after many years of planting. So there may be some sort of release that needs to happen. There's also affiliation with lightning with the Zayin because of the revelation at Sinai comes down in the form of lightning and thunder, and this is related to the month of Sivan in the Sefer Yetzirah. So there's a lot of power here underneath, and our responsibility of showing up and saying, here I am available. Rest here twice. Endings, endings, endings. And then we go up to Shin. Shin, which is, like I said, some say it's the final letter of the alphabet, and that Tav is just that signature. But Shin is the mother letter of fire. And it's about inspiration. It's about passion. So at the head, and Shin is representative of the head, there is this passion, this fire, this idea of the presence of the Shekhinah. This starts with the letter Shin. So something at the top, which again, bringing passion in, like with this Knight of Cups, bringing in an offering, perhaps an offering of love. There may be fiery passion coming in. And wholeness as well. Shalom, which is often translated as peace, but actually means the wholeness of all, coming into balance. So there's some kind of balance that's possibly coming in. And on the right side, we have the Yud, which is the seed, the first letter of the divine name. Sort of, we've got the Yud He Vav He here with this seed that's being planted, this idea of becoming. Something is growing. Some sort of fruit is being offered here. So we have fire, we have passion, we have the foundation of sexuality with the yud here, which looks a little bit like a sperm, you'll notice. So fire, passion, sexuality, growing up out of whatever has come to an end, the rest that is underlying this, the ability to just show up and say, here I am. This offer that is being given to you by this Knight of Vessels is being supported here by the Asherah with the strong ending, with this ability to rest. Again, being able to show up brings us passion as a fruit, brings us seed as a fruit, brings us sexuality as a fruit, brings us this fire, this inspiration, the sun, the moon, and the stars in the sky. All of this transformation through fire, source energy, all coming in with the Shin. Beautiful indwelling presence of the divine. So really gorgeous reading for those who are receiving this from the Knight of Vessels. I'm going to pull out one more letter just to give us one more piece at the crown of our tree. And we have the letter Resh. I think Resh has shown up in all three readings today. Resh, which means head, a new beginning. Again, head in the Shin, head in the Resh. Rosh, Rosh Hashanah, a beginning of the year. Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month. Something new coming in. The binary transformation of seed and barrenness. We have seed right here. So, and a beginning. Bereshit. The Beit and the Resh come together to create a new beginning. Bereshit. And Breit Resh Shin, in fact. And then the Yud in the top. So Bereshit is spelled out here in this random way within our Asherah. So we have Bereshit here, a new beginning coming in, a new offer coming in with our Knight of Vessels. And it's this ability to think and see our way through from the center, but also know with our head. But remain humble. The Resh is a humble head. It's a bowed head. So there's a lot going on here. Communication is important. Resh rules over the planet Mercury in the sky, which is all about communication. So a lot coming through here. And it's a beautiful reading with this Asherah tree. So we're seeing our way forward. We've got an ending coming in here. We've got rest with the Beit and home, and finding our power beneath the surface, showing up, finding our inspiration through the Shekhinah, through the fire, and the seed, the foundation of sexuality. And then we'll be able to think and know and start again. So for those of you who chose the Knight of Vessels, this has been your wonderful reading. I hope you enjoyed it. I really like this Asherah spread. I think I'm going to do this again. And I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Please comment below if you have any comments to add. I'd love to hear from you. And I will see you again next time.